Okay, we'll get started. People are still joining, but we'll just sort of get things moving and people can keep signing on. But I'll just say a few words at the beginning. So thank you all so much for joining us today. My name is Sarah Chapman, and I'm the Executive Director of the nonprofit Media Burn Archive, which is based in Chicago. Media Burn collects, preserves, and distributes documentary and experimental media produced by artists, activists, and community groups. Our mission is to create positive social change by amplifying underheard voices, both in contemporary dialogue and the historical record. So this event is part of an ongoing free series called Virtual Talks with Video Activists. We've been doing it for 3 years now, every 2 weeks. And the goal of the events is to create conversation surrounding media production. So if you enjoy this event, please put on your calendar. In 2 weeks, we have a preview screening of an upcoming World War II documentary called I Wanted to Be a Man with a Gun, with director William Farley and Professor Bruce Jenkins of the School of the Art Institute. And then 2 weeks after that, another exciting preview screening of another upcoming documentary, this one about legendary rock and roll disc jockey Dick Biondi. So those are going to be fun, but tonight is going to be even more fun because we are going to be presenting a screening and discussion of Mr. Blassie Goes to Washington. And we are joined by the film's directors, Jeff Krulik and Brendan Conway, who will be in conversation with Justin LaLiberty. So during this screening, if you could just please stay muted so that we can all hear, that would be great. The event is being recorded so that if you have to drop out and miss a little bit, you can catch up later, or you can share it with your friends and other fans who miss it. And yeah, so the film is about 25 minutes long, and then we'll have a discussion. And during that discussion, you can feel free to submit questions in the chat, or you can raise your hand to be called on. Let me see, I'm just getting a message. Yes, okay, that's fine. So yes, Mr. Blassie Goes to Washington follows the legendary former professional wrestler Classy Freddie Blassie on a trip to the nation's capital. Blassie, one of wrestling's all-time great heels, had largely wrestled from the 1950s through the 1970s and had experienced a revival of popularity in the 1980s as a ringside manager and as Andy Kaufman's co-star in the short film My Breakfast with Blassie. A decade later, Krulik and Conway rented a limo and hired a few female models to accompany Blassie on a trip to Washington, D.C., where they filmed the wrestler wandering through the city, chatting with tourists, and shouting out challenges to Bill Clinton. A delightful portrait of a wonderfully corny, old-fashioned entertainer, Mr. Blassie Goes to Washington is one of Jeff Krulik's most beloved films and a treasured cult classic of the VHS era. So Washington, D.C., it says Washington, D.C. based, but you were saying Maryland. So it's the same area.
Yeah.
Right. Jeff Krulik has screened at the Museum of Modern Art, Lincoln Center, and the American Film Institute, and on PBS. His resume includes work for Errol Morris, Discovery Networks, and National Geographic Channel. He's also co-producer of the cult documentary Heavy Metal Parking Lot, which was turned into a reality TV series for Pop Culture Network Trio called Parking Lot, and was released as a limited edition Blu-ray by Vinegar Syndrome. Other documentaries include Hitler's Hat, Ernest Borgnine on the Bus, and the award-winning I Created Lancelot Link. In 2008, he produced the Emmy Award-winning documentary Eating Crabs for Maryland Public Television's Chesapeake Bay Week. Brendan Conway studied film and television production and management at Syracuse University. From 2000, he worked for Warner Brothers Animation as a producer and writer. He worked for CBS/The Early Show as a producer between 2000 and 2008, and in 2007 as a director for Discovery Networks. Since 2009, he is the producer of CBS Saturday Morning in New York. In 1994, while working alongside fellow Discovery Channel program evaluator Jeff Krulik, they hatched proto-reality television shows Ernest Borgnine on the Bus and Mr. Blassie Goes to Washington. Other projects Brendan has produced include The Legend of Forrest Tucker, The Brady Bunch, and Puppet Planet for Travel Channel. That sounds fun. And last but not least, Justin LaLiberty holds degrees in critical film studies and film preservation and archiving, and has spent more than half of his life working in either theatrical exhibition or home video in the roles of projectionist, film programmer, and archivist. He currently works as the director of operations for OCN Distribution, sister company of Vinegar Syndrome, and spends most of his free time logging films on Letterboxd and taking photos of his cat, which are hobbies that I can definitely relate to. So Jeff or Brendan, did you want to say anything before the film, or should we go straight into it?
Oh, gosh. What, Brendan?
I was just saying, do you want to say anything?
Oh, gosh. We'll probably have plenty to say afterwards. It's just that I will say that it's really great. I appreciate very much a chance to share this and talk about it, because I don't think we've ever had a chance to do that before. Certainly not in this format. When Brendan and I came up with it and then kind of went, took it to where, we eventually put it out, released it in some form, and it's just nice to revisit something that doesn't get talked about a lot. So thank you for letting us do that, for sharing it.
Agreed.
Okay, well, let's play the movie then if we're ready to go. We'll play the movie and then we'll come back and talk afterwards. I think it's about 25 minutes-ish long.
I think so. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, this was something that, well, just like you said, Brendan and I were colleagues at Discovery Channel when it was just Discovery Channel, and then it grew into what it is now. But this was in the mid-90s, in 1994. And I think that we'll just leave it at that. That's when we did it, and we'll go ahead and roll the projector.
It all started with this doll, a 7-inch doll of classy Freddie Blassie, the self-proclaimed king of men and one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time. I'm Jeff Krulik, and all I originally wanted to do was produce a simple tribute to Fred Blassie, using the doll and a recording of one of his famous tirades from the King of Men record. But my friend and fellow Blassie fan Brendan Conway convinced me we should do something bigger, much bigger. You see, Brendan and I love celebrities. Here he is with William Shatner. Here he is with Tony Curtis. Here he is with Jerry Seinfeld. Here I am with Tony Curtis. Here he is with Siskel and Ebert. Here I am with Ernest Borgnine. We decided to find out what would happen if the greatest celebrity of all, the King of Men, actually came to Washington, D.C. for a royal visit. We wanted to know what would happen when Fred Blassie, resplendent with cane and sequined vest, toured the nation's capital, greeting politicians and tourists alike. Plus, we wanted our picture taken with him. So 10 years after Andy Kaufman's seminal film, My Breakfast with Blassie, we produced our tribute to the King of Men. We hired the largest limousine we could, found a willing entourage, and on a bright spring day, hosted Fred Blassie, King of Men, on a royal visit to the nation's capital.
I want to tell all you people just one thing. You know there's plenty of men around, but just one king. You can go through life acting mean and sassy, but you better play it cool when you come around Blassie. And that goes for all you women, living or dead. You best watch your step when you're messing with Fred. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. My name is Blassie, King of Men.
I'll tell that pencil neck geek to get over here. I ain't got time to waste on him. Who'd you say Clinton's talking to? Tell him I got a load of watermelons out here for him. That's right, from Hope, Arkansas. He knows. What do you say there? How are you? Hello there, sweethearts. How are you?
Illustrious one, welcome to Washington, D.C.
Thank you, thank
We've
you.
been eagerly awaiting your arrival.
Well, I've been looking forward to coming to Washington, D.C. You have a bunch of beautiful women here. I can't say too much for the fellas. The fellas look like they all need a drink of water. Oh, my goodness almighty, look at this here.
Miss you!
What
I'm so glad to have you in D.C.
Well, I'm glad that you girls invited me. I wouldn't be without it.
We're going on a state visit, a royal state visit of the King of Men to Washington, D.C. to see members of Congress, hopefully see President Clinton, perhaps Mrs. Clinton. What's that?
I came through Hope, Arkansas, and they gave me the smallest watermelon they could have there. Weighed 130 pounds. That's right. Went from Houston, Texas, going to St. Louis, Missouri, my home. And we stopped in Hope, Arkansas, and bought a watermelon. They weren't bragging about Clinton then. What do they call this building? What do they call this building? What's the name of this building? What's the name of this building? I'm talking to a bunch of dinglings over here. Hello there.
Hello.
Where are you from?
New York. The Bronx.
Yeah. That's God's country.
Okay.
You got a bunch of nice people here.
Oh, thank you. Have a nice day.
They weren't that pretty when I was going to school. That's the statue you brought me over here for?
That's it.
I told you before that George Washington is still collecting for that statue. Every Mason gives $1 to their initiation fee. Now they're going to take that statue and pull it down because it's not worth a darn anyway. What, it got steps going up, right? They're going to put Freddie Blassie statue there, and they're going to have an escalator going up and one coming down. You're not in favor of that, I guess. You want to keep old stinking George's statue there. Termites are eating the hell out of it.
Well, we'll see to it. This is your...
You'll see to it. You're like the rest of these politicians here in Washington, D.C. You're going to see to it and you do nothing. Get off your keister over there and do something. Tell the people, Happy Easter. Where's the statue at?
He's in there. You see it? His little
See, they got him hidden there where it's real dark. You can't see him. That's where he belongs. Now, if I had to pick a building like that after me, my statue would be out here on the front steps.
Well, I don't know.
With movable eyes as the girls walk by. I'm in favor of that.
Fred, I know that there's a lot of visits on our itinerary, but over here is the Vietnam
Where are you
Veterans
folks
Memorial.
from? You understand what he's talking about? We're on an itinerary over here looking at dead statues. Now, I don't want to look at a bunch of dead people. I like to look at you people. You're live, beautiful.
What's your name? To see you in wrestling, you was that bad manager.
There you go, bite her too.
Don't do that. She's my mother.
Give her a bite.
Your mother? She's a nice lady then.
He was tough.
That's right, I was bad. I was rotten to the core. I was the worst one.
Yes, he was. What's your name?
Classy Freddie Blassie.
Yeah, that's the name. That's the name. I should have remembered. Man, he's a mean manager.
That's right. You idiots, you! God damn! See, I can't get that busted knee out of there. What are we protesting over here? Oh! How'd do there?
My glasses are in the back seat.
This is the greatest country in the world, right? You can protest, do anything you want. You don't like the country, you can say it's no good. It's the only place in the world where you can go and say United States is no good. I mean, we got a lot of politicians over here no good, but the United States is good.
What are you here for?
What am I here for? Anything. I'm in here for anything. Oh, I love all these cameras, that's all.
Can't the girls come out of the car?
Ah, you son of a gun, you, huh? See, I got the hidden secret in the car. Will you pretty girls get out here?
We are.
You getting the pictures?
May I ask who you are?
Who?
Who are you?
Mr. Blassie.
Mr. Glassy?
This is a film being made called Mr. Blassie Goes to Washington. He's visiting sites throughout Washington, D.C. He's the king of men. He's a member of the...
I watch him on TV all the time.
Have a wonderful time. Goodbye. Go elsewhere.
They shouldn't have stopped here.
Listening, don't you know anything about it?
Abrázala, arriba.
And this, of course, is ground zero for the free world. The capital of the free world, Washington, D.C. You're the king of men. You've arrived here to see what you could do to help set the administration on the right path.
Well, the first thing I want to do, I want to get Bill out here. Hey, Bill! Hey, Bill! Hillary's got you in the kitchen making sandwiches? Bill!
Fred, behind us is Lafayette Park. Anyone is allowed to protest. Now, they can sleep here, they can protest here, camp out.
But they can't bathe.
No, they can't bathe.
I thought so, because I got a funny odor around here someplace. Hey, Bill, I'm coming! I'm gonna go see Bill. Thank you. Thank you. Come on, help me. 1, 2, 3. Hey, Bill! Come on out here, Bill. You want to talk to Bill, don't you? You seen him? Hillary's got him in the kitchen fixing sandwiches. Hey, Bill! Hey, Bill!
Bill!
That's right.
Come out!
If Bill won't come out, how about Hillary?
Yeah, or the dog.
The dog, they got a cat.
Oh, okay, here, kitty, kitty.
Hey, hold it. Hold it, I want to see that little baby. That's a pretty little thing. Don't walk away. Come here. See, this is what you need. You don't want to be sitting in a car. How the hell are you going to march with these the gals over here if you're going to sit in the car?
Yes, we can.
He's not home? What about Hillary? What about the cat?
I'm Buddhist monk.
Yeah?
A Buddhist monk.
From where?
Vietnam.
Vietnam. Yeah? Is the Buddhist monk from Vietnam?
Buddhist monk from Vietnam? Are
Yeah.
you a wrestling fan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Freddie
Okay.
Blassie fan,
Okay,
right?
thank you.
There you are.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Yeah,
Nice meeting you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Where are your oh, there another one over there.
Yeah.
He's
My
very
guy.
bashful.
Yeah.
Come on over.
Have a 10 piece of it.
How are you doing? Fine.
All right.
Okay. How?
Hey, I loved you in Breakfast with Blassie.
Oh, yeah.
There you are. You know what he said? No, you wouldn't understand.
I did only.
It's an X-rated movie in Vietnam.
Yeah.
The Buddhists wouldn't be able to show it.
That's okay. Thank
I
you.
showed my navel in Breakfast with Blassie. Couldn't show that, and the Buddhists wouldn't go for that. Right? Yeah, you're right.
Goodbye.
All right, thank you, thank you, thank you. Bill, you look good. You really look good. And I'm for you 1,000%. Remember, I visit your family down in Hope, Arkansas. The greatest watermelons in the world. That's right. And Hillary, you're a real sweetheart. She's a doll. She's a beauty, isn't she? Mwah.
Tell us a little bit about the origin of Pencil Neck Geek.
Oh, well, the Pencil Neck Geek, the way that started, I was wrestling in a carnival, trying to become a wrestler, you know, and I was about 18 years old. First match I ever had, I made $1, and wrestling license cost $5, so you could tell I was in a hell of a business. And right next door to the athletic show in the carnival was a geek show, the freak show, you know. And they asked me, they said, "You've ever seen any, you know, those?" I said, "No." So they took me over there, and here's this guy eats snakes, live chickens and all that stuff. He's a real geek, you know. And I said, Jesus Christ almighty. You get sick watching him, you know. Biting a snake in half, bite a chicken's head off. And I said, he's got a neck like a stack of dimes. I said, he looks like a pencil neck geek. And that's how it started.
When was that?
I was about 18 years old. Hell, that's 58 years ago.
So that's where Pencil Neck Geek started. Well, you know now it's part of the popular lexicon.
Oh, hell, they all use it now. This pencil neck geek, that Rush Limbaugh, he was using it. And then Imus, he uses it. It's just, I've never seen it as popular as it is now, you know. They don't say pencil neck geek, but they call him a pencil neck, you know, or they call him a geek. See, but I'm the only one that used the whole expression.
Pencil neck geek.
Yeah, yeah.
Fred, we're right in front of one of the most popular power restaurants in Washington, where only...
You're not talking about Duke Seabert's.
I am. I'm talking
You
about...
are?
We're in front of Duke
I've heard
Seabert's.
about that place so often, so many times, and they say the best food in Washington, D.C. is there at Duke's. And I'm glad you brought me here because I want to be sure and tell these people all over the world about Duke Seabert.
Of course. We want a pickle?
No, I'm afraid not. I'm not supposed to have too much salt.
There's a lot of salt in pickles?
What should I get you?
Oh, I'm sorry. The turkey.
Turkey?
It's white meat.
Yes, that's it. And the other king.
God bless you.
God bless you too. Thank you.
Wouldn't be king without people like you.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Always be
Thank
my
you.
hero, sir.
Thank you. Thank
You're the
you.
king of the kings.
Thank you.
Let me show you pictures over here on the wall. This is Mikhail Gorbachev.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
was here
yeah.
not too long ago. President was here in July.
Yes.
That's President Kennedy.
Yeah.
You see your favorite girl, Linda.
Oh, they don't come any prettier than her.
And that's Larry King.
Where's that pencil neck geek at today?
I don't know.
Listen, you son of a... I'm telling you, you get one of those right underneath your chin.
And that's Truman.
Greatest president we've ever
Right.
had. He's from my home,
Is that right?
my home state, Missouri.
That's great.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's Angie Dickinson.
Oh, yeah, a beauty.
There's Turner and his wife.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I can't say too much for her.
Well,
I want to present you the ambassador of Tunisia.
Oh, yeah?
And this is
Very-
a big lawyer.
very
If you
nice
have a
meeting
problem,
you.
any law problem, that's the guy.
Don't say that. I just want to meet you, but I don't want to use you.
That's why
And the World
I talk
Bank.
too much.
Yes.
That's the reason I like ambassadors. Me and ambassadors always get along good.
You know, I used to be with the World Bank. I'm going to give you a big loan, $100 million.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What the hell will I do with it?
Distribute it to the poor. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Believe me,
It was a
my
pleasure.
pleasure, my
My
pleasure.
pleasure.
To
God
meet
bless
you and you two gentlemen
I'll see you
also.
again.
God bless you.
Take care.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, you see, as I said, Washington is my town, my kind of people. You know, they say Chicago, Chicago. It's Washington, it's Washington. Washington's my town. There's two of my people right down there. Yeah.
D.C.
That's right, Washington, D.C., that's the place. Right, champ? We can't do no wrong, can we? How do you like that thing? Look at that big long thing. Hot damn. Only in Washington, D.C. can you ride in something like that.
How you doing?
Fine,
Nice
fine,
to meet
thank
you.
you.
Nice. This is a thrill for me to meet you, sir.
See?
How you doing? You
All right.
looking real good.
Thank you,
Can
thank
I
you.
get your autograph, sir?
Some fans in here in Victoria's Secret. It's the most popular store in Washington.
This is,
Yeah. I mean, it's one of them. It's a...
don't you look over there, now that's nasty. Hello, honey, how are you?
Pretty good. Nice meeting you, sir.
Nice meeting you, you pretty thing, you doll. You from Washington, D.C.?
No, I'm from Argentina.
Argentina?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty far away.
We had quite a few wrestlers from Argentina.
Really?
Yeah, very good. But you're a pretty thing.
Told you the women were pretty in Washington.
She's from Argentina. Where are we going now? All right.
Step right
Who
this
gets
way.
in first? I get in first. You won't. You got to crawl all over me. Oh, shit. Ugh.
how are you, sir?
All right. Where are you from?
Tokyo, Japan.
Tokyo.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I was watching you 25 years ago.
With Ricky Dozak.
You're fighting, yeah. No, you fighting with the Giant Baba too, right?
Giant Baba, I beat
Yeah.
the shit out of
Yeah.
him. Go Minnesota.
He's still fighting. How
Yes,
about
I
you?
know.
How about you?
Well, I'm 76 now.
Okay, you still biting?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Don't bite me.
No.
You know, many Japanese hate you, right? Because you are here.
Yes.
So, you know.
Because I was number one. That's why Japan hated me.
Yeah, that's right.
I beat everybody there. They didn't like that. I bite them. File my teeth.
So now you're not fighting.
Play golf. You know.
There you go.
Well, the first time I ever met Andy Kaufman was at the Olympic Auditorium, at which building they have now renovated, and they call it the Grand Olympic. Anyway, I'm going to the dressing room, and this fellow here said, "Mr. Blassie." I said, "Hey, boy, what are you doing in here?" I chased him out of the building. So then the following week, I'm going to the dressing room, and here's the same guy again. He said, "Mr. Blassie," I said, "I told you, get the hell out of the building and stay out." So one of the ushers said, "You know who that is?" I said, "No." He said, "It's Andy Kaufman." I said, "Who's Andy Kaufman?" He said, "He's a comedian." I said, "I don't know. Get him out of the building." And the matches were all over with and everything. So the following week, he's outside in my car. He was about a half block from my car. And "Mr. Blassie, I just want to talk to you." He said, "I'm no smart aleck or anything." He said, "I'm your fan." I said, "What do you want, kid?" And he came a little closer. I said, "Come on over here." I said, "I ain't gonna do anything to you." He came over and we started talking, and then I took him out and we had a bite to eat. And after we had a bite to eat, we became very good friends. And that was my dealings with Andy Kaufman. And then from there, we just went on, made breakfast with Blassie. And he had so many things in mind for he and I to do. We did the David Letterman show, and he wanted to do a takeoff on Laurel and Hardy, with him playing Laurel and me being Hardy. But then what happened, he passed away, which was a very sad thing for our country, because he was a very good man, very good. Yeah, there's only one Andy Kaufman. I went to his funeral, and when I came out, I was sitting, they had me sitting with the family, and there were 3 TV stations there, and the one came up to me and he said, "Pardon me, sir, would you mind telling the people who you are? We know who you are, but those of people out there on TV land that don't know who you are." I said, "My name is Freddie," and I started crying and I walked away. Couldn't even finish. Really broke me all up. He was a heck of a nice kid. Very, very nice. Never be another Andy Kaufman.
This is the Capitol. This is where all decisions are made.
And that's where those dinglings sit up there, huh? All those pencil neck geeks sit up there that make these asinine rules. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm trying to tell you that this is where it all happens. This is
where it all happens. In other words, if I were to go in there and put my hand on somebody's shoulder, chances are 9 out of 10 times I'd have my hand on some dingling's shoulder. I do. Where are all you folks from? Michigan.
This is...
That's God's country. 1, 2. Look at them. Don't look at me. 3. Did you get it, you pencil neck geek? That's all there is to it, see? I just hope you folks are all enjoying yourselves. It's going to be on a TV.
This is a film. This is a project called Mr. Blassie Goes to Washington. It's the King of Men. We're just walking throughout Washington D.C. filming.
Who's in charge?
This is right. This is. Stop filming. I'm sorry. Okay. Well, we'll leave now. I'm sorry. We were just going throughout the city.
Well, I enjoyed myself. I hope I passed on a gem or two to those pencil neck geeks sitting in that building. And if they need any help, all they got to do is come up to Westchester and I gladly accommodate them, give them all the help they need, because they need a lot of help.
Fred, watch yourself.
Yes, sir. Hey, you want to take these things off?
I don't beg for mercy, and I don't give none. If you're looking for trouble, I'll loan you some. So just step right up if you're itching for a bite. Next thing you know, pow, out go the lights. If you're lucky, you'll walk away like some kind of man. Otherwise, they'll tote you off in a garbage can. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. My name is Blassie, King of Men. Yeah, you better step lively, geek, because before I'm through, I'm going to be mopping up the floor with you. And when you're down there on your knees just begging me to stop, I'll squeeze your head like a pimple until it pops. I'll have your brains for breakfast, your guts for lunch. That pencil neck will make a nice snack for me to munch. You should have listened, geek, because this is the end. My name is Blassie, King of Men.
Hello. Hi, Jeff and Brandon. Jeff, it's great to be in touch again. You're muted, Jeff.
Oh no. Yes. Great to see you. Great to be in touch again, Justin. And thank you for selecting this and being a part of it. And I'm glad to introduce you to Brendan, who
The lights are out.
You're trying to hide.
I've aged horribly.
So I want to start with, it's to me, it's very interesting that this and Ernest Borgnine on the Bus were made right around the same time by the two of you. And they're both these documents of these larger than life personalities, men who, of course, were older when you made these films and probably weren't known by a lot of the people around them when you were out in public with them. Can you discuss, choosing these two people to do these specific projects with? At the start of this one, we see the figure and that you wanted to do something regarding the King of Men, but why this approach, this very similar approach of kind of this almost like ethnographic, going out into the world with these two men into public? Why was that the approach kind of in tandem here?
Oh my God. Well, we just kind of, we didn't really have a plan, obviously. We never thought this. Well, that's not entirely true, at least with coming up with it. We just, like I kind of said I created this script for it, of course, way afterwards, to try to make sense of all this footage that we gathered in regards to the Blassie project. But it was just kind of Brendan and I, we were co-workers at Discovery Channel in the same department. And we kind of just had this fascination with fringe celebrity, shall we say, and characters and eccentric characters within the, that world of, lost or forgotten Hollywood, or however you want to look at it, the entertainment business. We're always interested in entertainment culture. We connected over that immediately when we started working together. There you are. Yeah, it's like, so this was really from, I don't know, a year and a half or so, we were working in the same department, maybe 2 years. But during that time, we just would cook up ideas of like shows, because this is a documentary network we were working with. And we were kind of in a department called program evaluation. This is way before the Discovery Channel became what you know it is now, but they were slowly getting into original programming. Most of it was acquisition, which we were involved with helping, you know, we were part of the machinery as evaluators, but we had ambitions to do our own thing. And we just thought, well, what, you know, we came up with these ideas. We just used to pitch each other ideas. And then eventually it was more like, okay, I dare you. It became like a dare to actually try to reach out to somebody like a Fred Blassie.
Right. And we also tried to find, or, you know, we also tried to find people who were not that busy anymore.
Right.
Like
right.
Ernest Borgnine had not been in anything recently, and Freddie Blassie wasn't even, he was past his prime as well. So we thought, you know, who could we work with? Who would work with us?
And we also did think, well, what would we want to see? Well, how funny. I mean, this was really before the reality television that we know that it became, you know, in the late 90s, several years before that. It really wasn't much of a precedent, but it was, let's turn these celebrities or former celebrities or what, you know, whatnot, turn them loose with, you know, the general public. And in Fred Blassie's case, it was kind of positioned, it was an appearance, basically. I mean, you could hire Fred, you know, to make an appearance, which is really what this was. And he did get paid. He got, you know, Brendan had to call up a couple grand to, you know, we really wanted to be we were serious about it. I mean, I don't know about the results being very serious. We wanted to make something. So to get Fred Blassie, we positioned it like it was an appearance, and we hired him out of the World Wrestling Federation in Connecticut. And we were based in Maryland. Well, obviously, you know, the Discovery Channel was in Maryland, right next to Washington, D.C. And so that, I mean, we didn't lie about what we wanted to do with him, but we did have to, you know, we paid for him. We gave him an appearance fee, and then we had to fly him and a handler down, 2 people, you know, so that was 2 tickets, you know, on the Delta shuttle back and forth from LaGuardia. But so that's just really how it came to be. And Ernest Borgnine is a little more dense and convoluted, but it's along the same lines. Just kind of, but really, quite honestly, starting is almost like a dare. Okay.
Right.
And the fact that we had Discovery Channel credentials didn't hurt, even though we weren't representing ourselves.
No, we didn't say that, but we said we worked at Discovery Channel.
Exactly. In fact, we probably called from Discovery, you know, before you had free long distance now. So we called from the office phones, and yeah, it just kind of, but like I said, Fred Blassie was an appearance fee, a day with Fred Blassie, and we just happened to take him around Washington, which was the whole intent. We always were going to call it Mr. Blassie Goes to Washington. Ernest Borgnine, that was a little more involved, or a lot more involved, but you know, we also reached out to his agent first. Again,
remember her name?
Flo Joseph.
She was based in Texas. It was the craziest situation.
You're right. And what happened though was we called her and pitched the idea, because what happened, so Blassie's a appearance fee, he could have been showing up like at a supermarket or something, but we actually paid to do it, and we're made good on that and flew him down, but we made it up kind of as we went along. And it wasn't even like a original thought that I was going to do this, that I was going to be the host.
No, it was a last minute thing.
Totally. And because when we realized, oh my God, he's going to need somebody to play off of. And so that became me. And the Ernest Borgnine, we pitched, Brendan knew, I mean, because you knew that for whatever tabloid or something, he drove around the country in a bus, like
right.
an
Probably the National Enquirer or something.
Right, only an RV he had, and he was driving it. You know, he actually drove this. So we just kind of cracked up and thought, what an image, what an unbelievable image. And again, it just was one thing led to another. I dare you to call, okay, and we called the agent, And she's like, that sounds great. And she was going to talk to Ernest Borgnine. Next thing you know, the agent disappears. But we ended up, we then called we called Tova's agent, Ernest Borgnine's wife. We called her office because she was like a big cosmetics, impresario. And turns out, and the company was called Tovern for Tova and Ernie. And it just so happened to be in his house. The phone number was in Ernest Borgnine's house in an office that was manned by Ernest Borgnine's assistant, Joyce McConnell. And Joyce really became the agent at that point. We went through Joyce and she kind of made everything happen. Is that right, Brendan? Does that sound right?
It sounds good to me, yes.
But anyway, I could talk about, do you have it? Did that answer any of your questions?
Yes. What I was really noticing this time watching Blassie is, like a lot of people, younger viewers who are seeing this for the first time now, many of them are going to have absolutely no idea who he is. But the nice thing about it is you can approach it as you're seeing this larger than life, real person, or you can approach it as he's playing a character, however you approach it, it's still this incredibly potent, like archival document of Washington, D.C. at a very specific point in time. And you see that really, with the protesters, pretty much every reference to Bill Clinton. There's all these kinds of things that are like very palpable, just like watching the footage. Can you talk about like culling that footage, like how much footage you had, how you picked out, certain things in the editorial process? Did you really focus on, moments with Blassie, or were you actually also trying to pull in these images that kind of were resonant to the culture at that time?
Brendan, what
question?
It's like, really, honestly, this needed more pre-production. It really needed more thought.
It needed everything.
But by the same token, we knew there were certainly landmarks. We wanted to just turn Blassie loose and things like, and have some kind of we really wanted to capitalize on what we thought would be the absurdity of it on camera. And some things worked, some things didn't.
Like when we were driving past the FBI building, we just saw the protest, right? And we stopped.
No. What happened was I knew Marty, our friend, our colleague at everybody at our immediate department they knew we were up to this. I mean, they weren't. They were. It wasn't a secret. I mean, we did it on our own. I guess we took off from work.
One day production.
Yeah, well, it was a one-day production, and my friend Elliot was a cameraman who had the gear, and he very generously, volunteered to shoot it, professional cameraman. And we somehow, Dana is a friend of Marty's. Marty was our colleague, and she worked at CNN. And so she told us about this protest at the FBI building. And that's how we wound up going there.
I totally forgot that.
Yeah, Brendan and I we both of us, a little before this started, we were both like trying to remember this, because this is really great. We haven't thought about this in so long. And it was great fun for us to watch it again. We were texting each other and just kind of, all these things were just coming back to us. But that was, a lot of these were kind of happy accidents. But things like the protest, Waco obviously took on a lot, in history now. Everything associated with that is quite a flashpoint. At this point, it was only a year after it had happened. And so, it certainly is, it just, again, has taken on more resonance in the ensuing years, but this was just a year after. So there was a small protest, and, you can kind of maybe goof on it, although it really wasn't our intent to goof on that. It could have been a protest.
No,
anything.
No, we weren't goofing on the protest.
It would have been anything. That just happened to be what that was. I mean, we literally were like, whatever was happening that day, And, because at this point, the first stop was the Lincoln Memorial. And, that's where we went. We picked up Blassie, Fred, and his handler, Rich, at the airport. And these women, the models.
Models.
They were troopers, and we just contacted the agency that they work with, and they did it for lunch. We bought them lunch. And they didn't really know what was going on. They just kind of got in the spirit of it. Brendan arranged to have these signs made. We did it for trade too, for promo. We didn't pay a lot beyond what we paid.
We had no money.
Right. Exactly. You put it on.
Even the limo was free.
Yes, we traded for that for promo, but we got everybody rallied, and we even had at one point we had an Elvis impersonator we were trying to rendezvous with, like at the Lincoln Memorial, but he got lost because we did have some idea. We did want to do some things where we kind of threw some stuff into the mix to see what would happen.
We wanted him to join the entourage kind of thing. Like, oh, who else are we meeting?
That's exactly.
But the opposite happened because we lost the girls at some point during the day.
Right. After lunch.
They just kind of vanished. I don't know if you noticed that.
Cut them loose too, I think we gave them, although I don't know, it's just like after lunch, because we were running late. I mean, everything just kind of went late. It just was, and I know there were other places I think we had on the possible itinerary, but we needed to get lunch, feed Fred.
Where else did we have? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember, but I just remember us being late. And I guess, unfortunately, there's no digital footprint to go back and check emails or stuff between us or whatever itinerary we came up with. But I know we went to the Lincoln Memorial first after we picked him up at the airport. And again, this is way before the security issues that now we are a part of our lives. We pretty much, I mean, back then you could drive in front of the White House even. So in 94. So, but we did go to the Lincoln Memorial. And then I guess the protest, because it was just something we knew that was happening.
We were supposed to go to the Washington Memorial, and that is where Elvis was meeting us, but we never got there.
You mean the monument or the
monument? The monument.
Okay. All right. So that you're remembering that now. Yeah. Yes. I guess we didn't go to the monument. You're right. You're right. We didn't, and we wound up, I guess, the White House, of course, and that was great. I mean, that was so much fun because somebody even mentions my breakfast with Blassie, in the crowd. So, that was we had some fun with that. And I thought that was great. The Buddhist monks, the tourists in general. And we're just kind of letting Blassie riff on it all. So some things worked, some things didn't. And as far as the footage, there really wasn't a lot. What you see is a lot of what we got.
There isn't much left.
Yeah, there's not much left. And honestly, we weren't real happy at the end of the day.
Oh no, we hated it.
Yeah, we just were like, this is a disaster, a fiasco, what a mess. Because everything just tanked. Like some of these plans, the limo air conditioning broke. We wound up driving. So you're in this hot car limo when we're taking Freddie back to the airport. And, that's, when we finally got back there, that's when we decided to ask for autographs. He was signing our albums. At some point, he just stormed off. I don't think we have that on tape. Otherwise, we could have put that.
He was not a happy camper at the end.
Yeah. And so we kind of were just bummed out. But when maybe actually, 94, we shot it. And then we didn't we actually premiered it. And then we did the Borgnine project in 95. But then in 96, I cooked up this presentation that we had at the AFI Theater at the Kennedy Center. And that was the incentive to then come up with something.
You left it on the shelf for 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. exactly. And then I wrote the script after looking at it, but I was involved with a studio in DC, a post-production house. At that point, Brendan and I were gone from Discovery, and Brendan was off on his career and I was off on whatever the hell I was doing, trying to do, but wanted to work with the footage. We had shot the Borgnine project at that. So there was a chance to showcase both the Borgnine and Blassie projects in whatever form or fashion we could create. And that was kind of the inaugural screening of it. And I think it was called the I Quit My Day Job Film Festival, because we had both quit our day jobs at that point. But that was our first, and during that time is when I'm looking at it, I'm like, this isn't that bad, because there's stuff to work with. So that, again, we could talk endlessly about this. I'm sorry, Justin, if that, I don't know if it, but really these things were happy accidents. Japanese television, a friend, I knew Tomo, one of the guys who worked there, and somehow, because they were wrestling fans and Blassie fans, just in conversation, was like, oh, go do this. And so go to see the staff of NHK downtown. And it was just two guys, they came out. So we just had to kind of work with what we had.
Can you talk about the life this had after the AFI screening, like how it kind of got, seen by people in their homes, where it's been, for the past 30 or so years?
Well, I think once we had something, once we had something for that AFI show. I mean, I never intended it. We were never going to abandon it, but I think we just were kind of disappointed. I'm sure we can come up with other things that are disappointing about it, but now looking at it, it's just a barrel of laughs. We just really great memories, and it's a lot of fun. And I think when we realized there was something there to kind of work with, and it was fun, that it kind of helped anchor the collections of work that I was starting to travel around with to alternative film festivals. And, along with some of the earlier work that I'd been involved with. And, Brendan and I were both involved with we both came up with, there are, our ideas with the Blassie and the Borgnine project. And then I had other work that I fortunately, had, to work with, Heavy Metal Parking Lot, et cetera, that I could take around to these emerging alternative film festivals. And that was certainly part of them. The Blassie project was part of that. So, and that just helped get it out there. Facets Video wanted to start distributing the work. And so they included it in their catalog, which is all VHS in the VHS era, way before online video. And of course, when online started to happen, when video, you could showcase work online, like we know now and take for granted now, it was one of the pieces that went up online. But, the Blassie, it's still a bit of a fringe, he's a fringe character, but yet a beloved fringe character. And I think, and Brandon and I always knew that even from jump, we were not looking, we never thought this had great commercial potential, but that was never our intent.
No.
Yeah. And
I
it's
wanted
not,
to continue. Should we take some questions from the audience if there are any?
Sure.
yeah, we'll we can talk. I should just read you our texting back and forth. We were like, I was like watching it again. It's like, it was funny because we got thrown off the Capitol steps and we were on the Capitol. I mean, we didn't get any permission for this stuff. Did we, Brendan? Did we ask? No. So, and we certainly had no permission. Well, obviously we had no permission. We didn't even follow the rules that you can't do what we did.
We thought because it was the people's places that we could just go to them.
And also, the cameraman is professional. And we were kind of pushing it a bit. Obviously, you can hear a kid go, uh-oh, when the police show up to throw us off. And of course, luckily, thank God the camera was rolling. I mean, Elliot he's smart, savvy, and had the camera rolling the whole time. So we were mic'd up but also it's funny, I will say the Andy Kaufman sequence, I clearly wanted to talk to him about Andy Kaufman. That was actually at the end where we're going to get our vehicles. I had to run to get one of the vehicles, and I yelled to Elliot Clayman, the cameraman, ask him about Andy Kaufman. and so I'm gone, and Brendan we're trying to wrap. And so Elliot asks him about Andy Kaufman, and he's shooting him. I don't even know who Blassie's looking at, but that whole thing is because of that. And it's great because it's very genuine. And
it's the only genuine moment, right?
Right. And it's perfect. And I
of
let
him being serious, of him being serious.
And yeah, exactly. Not performing.
Right.
And I let it go long. I let the whole thing play out, which I wanted to do when I saw what it was. But again, it was just like, ask him about Andy Kaufman. So you can see things were just kind of falling apart, and we're making it up and trying to capture whatever we could. But, it's neat that people still like it. I know people have said when Blassie was alive and doing autograph appearances or whatever, he was signing, whatever, somebody I know said that they mentioned it to him and it brought a smile to his, he liked it. Brendan, remember, we had to sign a contract. We had to sign something that said they had like approval of what we came up with.
And do we ever send it to them?
No. They never came after us, and it was several years later. And frankly, it just existed on this.
Probably forgot all about it, to be honest.
Of course, absolutely. Remember at NatP when we were out there, we were at this convention in Vegas for the TV convention, and we met Vince McMahon. And he was there. Do you remember? That was like in '96.
I don't know if we brought it up to him, did we?
We said we worked with Blassie. We did.
Okay.
At that point, we were feeling kind of our oats, and we just kind of, what's he going to, I don't know. He laughed about it, or he did. Believe me, he's up there selling the whole Megillah. It was but we did meet Vince McMahon and drop Blassie's name. But Blassie was, people mentioned it to him, and he certainly, it's part of my breakfast with Blassie is still, the pinnacle of this. And we never thought we'd come close, but we certainly, in fact, Johnny Legend, who directed that, we were calling him for advice in how to work with Blassie. What are we in for? And he was very, he was helpful. And,
what was his advice? You remember?
Don't get him mad. or no, you know what he said? He said he's going to blow up. He did say something. He's going to, lose.
Which happened several times throughout the day.
Well, it really didn't happen to the end, but his knees, his knee was getting really cranky about his bad knees. But he said he also was, great, a good sport and really a ham, and would be, he would be a trooper, and we could kind of get him to play along with what we kept cooked up with. We even had a megaphone. Do you remember? We rented or had a megaphone. And that's the one thing that the handler said no, not to use. Don't do that. Because he was supposed to be kind of supervising Blassie, and I just remember that. But other than that, he kind of let us do whatever harebrained thing we came up with.
I'm just wondering why he didn't want us to use a megaphone.
Yeah, it seemed very arbitrary, It's certainly, again, we were just getting away with murder all over the city. It's like whatever you could do. I mean, and again, it was not, you just played dumb wherever you went. I mean, like on the Capitol. I think we said it was a student project even.
The two old students.
But anyway, yeah, it's been cool it's really been fun to kind of think about it again. Do you have any other questions, Justin? I mean, I really appreciate it.
No, I think we're at the end. I think we're at time. Sarah can confirm. I believe 8:00 was our.
Is that 8:00? Oh my God, it is.
It is, but if you had any final words you wanted to say, feel free to say them. We don't have to shut you off right away, but yeah. Oh, someone asked where they can see this and the Borgnine film.
YouTube. Or, well, the Blu-ray, it was on the Blu-ray that Justin produced with Circle Collective Vinegar Syndrome. And there it is.
It's all sold out though. You have to go to eBay to get this at this point. But there's a lot of content on here.
Very, very kindly put 2 discs worth of material together. It's a real, tour de force, real proud of it, real grateful. And that's where, and Mr. Blassie Goes to Washington is on that, as well as the Borgnine. Now I'm happy to direct, is it Emily who just wrote? Did I see that?
Yeah, it was Emily Thacker.
Okay. If you can, I can get her email. I'll send you the links. Funny thing is the Ernest Borgnine on the Bus. You can find that online. Mr. Blassie. Oh, there. Thank you. Daytona. Okay. That's great. Thank you very much. I will, I got it here. But the Blassie, Mr. Blassie Goes to Washington is on YouTube. Ernest Borgnine on the Bus is on YouTube. Just about all my work is on YouTube. All of Brendan's work is on YouTube. It was including the Brady Brunch, which is what it was about. His kind of what
interview with Cousin Oliver.
Cousin Oliver, right. And that was and then I also put up all the outtakes too. I have a dedicated YouTube channel with all the week with Ernest Borgnine on the Bus. That's really a trip to look at everything, because it was really before reality TV. We did want to make a TV show. The original intent for that, Brendan and I wanted to make a TV series called Ernest Borgnine on Tour, with him being like a rock band touring around on a bus, driving this oversized bus, real bus, 40-foot bus. That
by himself, just traveling by himself solo. This movie star traveling by himself.
Well, in this, when we did it, and it's like a retiree would drive around with an RV, only he was driving this luxury bus like a rock band would tour around in. So we were like, let's call it Ernest Borgnine on Tour. And for the pitch meeting at the Plaza Hotel, because Joyce hooked us up, and this is where we was like do or die. We went in '94, the same year, the year before. It was like Blassie and then Borgnine, but we did a pitch meeting with Ernest Borgnine. I made T-shirts. I created, professionally silkscreen T-shirts with a design Ernest Borgnine on Tour, and we gave it to him, and he got a kick out of that. He was great to work with, I got to say.
He was.
Yeah. And so that was, it was just, we really had a lot of fun with both these projects. And so the outtakes now are all on a dedicated channel. So I'll send them to everybody in case, if you want to sign, whoever signed up, Sarah, if you want to forward to the people who signed up the links, I'd be happy to send it to you.
Yes, this is a great segue. So, yes, everyone who signed up tonight, afterwards, we're going to send you an email with a link to this recording, and then we'll check in with Jeff and just make sure we have all the right, other links to things, to the YouTube channel, and everywhere we can see all the stuff we talked about tonight. You should get that email either Friday or Monday from us. So thank you so much to Jeff and Brendan and Justin. This is really, really fun. We're so glad we did this. And thank you to everyone for coming. And again, please join us again for future events, and just have a great night, everyone.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Media Burn. Media Burn Archive. Anyway, really, and thank you, Brendan. It was
thank
fun.
you, Jeff.
Revisit this.
It was fun.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks so much.